Okay, guitar playing 101 for the solo acoustic artists. What does that mean? There isn't really going to be much playing in this. It's more about thinking. I know that's an oxymoron with guitar players typically. To begin with, capo, tuner. These are your two best friends apart from your guitar. The capo, if you know what it is, you don't need to hear this part. If you have no idea what this is, and some don't, say you want to play a song, or you learned a song in the key of G, and it's not a good key for you to sing in. The capo will enable you to change it. I find a lot of times if you go to sing a song and it's way too high, sometimes the best thing that you can do is sing that song an octave lower and keep moving the capo up until it feels right for your voice. Not so much that it matches the original artist, unless you are the original artist. The most important thing, from what I've seen and heard, is that when you're singing a song, that it rings out the same way that the original artist's voice did. If your voice is higher or lower, it's not necessarily going to be the best key, the original one. And there's nothing more annoying than listening to somebody singing out of their range all night long. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody cares how dead on the guitar playing was. And there are a lot of people out there that like to hammer home note for note and just like the recording. That if you're a solo acoustic player, that should not be your focus. Your focus should be that the playing and the singing sound as good as you can possibly make them. It's always good to try and learn as much as you can of the original song. It's good for you to have an idea as to what the parts sound like. In some instances, it will be impossible practically to worry about playing every song note for note. A perfect example is the Goo Goo Dolls. They tune every guitar slightly differently. If you're traveling with 8 guitars, this is an option for you. If you're traveling with one, or you're traveling with one and a backup, because you don't want to spend 15 minutes restringing and retuning your guitar, stop worrying about things being note for note and played perfectly. It's more important to kind of know why the notes are being played where they're played than what the notes are. A good example of that is Stephen Still's song that I play. It's called Love the One You're With. When Stephen Stills originally recorded this, he tuned the guitar way down. He also tuned it to a completely different tuning. He tuned it, I think, to like an E chord or a C chord or something strange like that. Completely not practical if you're playing in front of an audience. You can't spend 15 minutes retuning your guitar. And I don't even remember what it is, but when I went to play it, I figured out a key where the guitar parts kind of felt like the original. It's not exactly the same, because other than me being tuned down a half step, it's standard E, D, A, G, B, E tuning is just down a half step. Similar to the original, not exactly like the original, but similar. The capo is a lifesaver, because if I were just to play it down here, may sound a little bit closer to the original in a way. That's actually higher than the original version by at least a whole step. And the last thing I'm going to do is try and sing higher than the original recording. Not for me. Figuring out how to find keys, super easy trick. If you learn how to play most of the chords in G, and most of the chords in C, and you can recognize what those chords sound like when you go to listen to the recording. All you got to do is wherever you find the original note, typically songs start off on the 1 chord. That's a good indication as to what your chord is. Say your note's here, then all you have to do is put your capo here. And if you know how to play in G, there's your 1 chord. It works exactly the same if you're doing it in the key of C. Exactly the same. The reason why you want to have at least 2 keys is they overlap. You don't want to have the note be here, because that will not do you much good. That gives you about this much room on the entire neck to play in. However, if you play in the key of C, it opens up a lot of space. And G and C kind of follow suit on the neck of the guitar. So if it's here, that's the same note there. Put your capo here, and there's your 1 chord. The G and the C are both typically in the 3rd fret. So all you have to do whenever you're finding the note is wherever the note is, go down 3 steps on both strings. I'll get into the different things that you learn in playing in those keys, and some things that you can do that are kind of cool. But this is probably quite enough material for now. So I hope it's been helpful, and I hope it gets you moving forward. The main thing, make sure that the playing and the singing both sound good.